Hey guys, coming in with another What's Next. This is on the undefeated, reigning WBO welterweight champion, Terence Bud Crawford. He is my number 2 welterweight in the world right now. He's basically, I mean, you could call him number 2 or 1A, 1B, or I could even argue that he's tied for first with Errol Spence Jr. in the welterweight division right now at 147. You know, Crawford's coming off of a win over the guy they called the Mean Machine. I'm not going to try to pronounce that guy's name. That guy put Crawford, he should have scored a knockdown. They didn't score a knockdown, but Crawford weathered the storm and dominated the Mean Machine and scored a 9th or 10th round TKO victory to retain his title again. Excuse me. So now we're trying to see what's next for Terence Crawford. Sad. It's so fucking sad that this guy cannot land the big fight that he is due. He's 32 now, and these guys have avoided him with the PBC for so long. And I get wanting to stay in house and face your own guys, you know, to an extent. But when you have a guy that's so clearly above the rest in terms of talent, you would think they would want to face this guy, you know, and take a shot at him, especially since Bob Arum. Going over to Top Rank and Bob Arum and working out a deal with them, you know, you could do a co-promotion, but also you're going to make so much fucking money doing that. I mean, he literally offered Danny Garcia $5 million to fight him last year, and Danny turned it down. But then you had, I believe, Pacquiao and Thurman. I want to say Thurman only made $4 or $5 million to face Manny Pacquiao. So it's like, you know, like, why not take that kind of money to go face Crawford, you know, and take a shot at the world title there? You know, I just don't understand some of these guys not wanting to face him. It's really sad. But Crawford just needs to stay active and keep doing what he's doing, and hopefully somebody grows some balls and wants to fight him. So there were talks of possibly Sean Porter, but those fights, when Sean Porter was saying him and Crawford needed to talk, but when the pandemic, you know, when they started laying down the law with the pandemic and shutting things down, that kind of died down itself, that rumor. And then that's when the rumor of Kell Brook really took off from 154. Brook is still trying to establish whether, you know, because there's bigger fights at 154 and he'd rather take on bigger names and bigger fights, so he will squeeze down to 147 to do that. But, you know, Brook's been so inactive that it really doesn't even sell for him to face Kell Brook outside of the United Kingdom. Like, nobody would really care, you know, about him facing Brook, because Brook has been kind of out of the main scene for a while in terms of the, you know, the legitimate title picture. You know, so his last significant fight, I mean, he's only fought about 2 or 3 times since he lost to Errol Spence in 2017, but that was his last significant fight. So it's been over 3 years that he's had like a real opponent and real test. And yeah, like, I don't know. I don't think him and Crawford and Brook would really sell anything. So then recently, Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum, you know, we'll get to that. So let's run through the top 10 now, welterweight, and see what's possibly next for Terence Crawford. We start with number 1, unified champ Errol Spence Jr. Spence isn't going to want to fight Crawford next. 1 second, I'm sorry. He's not going to want to fight him in his next fight because Spence had that bad car accident last year. We don't know how well it affected him. And by the time he comes back, it's going to be over a year. Probably going to be over a year off, maybe right around a year off. So he's not going to want to face Crawford and make that mega fight happen yet. Number 3 is Manny Pacquiao, the WBA super champion. Now, Bob Arum saying that Pacquiao's people have reached out to him and the possibility of that fight is there. So I'll believe that when I see it. Pacquiao had all the opportunity in the world to face Crawford when he was with Top Rank, and he never did. So I don't think Pacquiao is really going to choose Crawford next, but you never know. If the people are talking, they are talking. So maybe it could happen. Maybe it's possible. I would hope so, but I'm going to lean towards the less likely. Number 4 is Keith One-Time Thurman. Thurman talking shit on social media, told Crawford, send over the contract, I'll fight you now. Thurman doesn't want anything to do with Crawford. That is all talk. He is not going to face Crawford next. He will get his ass whipped. No way he takes that fight. So I'm sorry. I'll be shocked. If I'm wrong on this one, I will be pleasantly wrong, and you can tell me I don't know anything about boxing all you want, but I highly doubt fucking Thurman wants anything to do with Terence Crawford next. Number 5, Sean Porter. I think this fight's, you know, on the back burner and could very easily be moved up to the front burner, and these two guys could fight if they wanted to make the fight. I think Porter would definitely be down, but he wants to see if he's in the Pacquiao running first. And to be honest, I think he's in the running, but I think he's the last resort option for Pacquiao. I don't think it's going to happen. So why not have this fight between Crawford and Porter? I think it makes a lot of sense, and I would love to see it. I'm going to lean towards the less likely because, again, it's PBC working with Top Rank, but I would love to see the fight, and I think it could happen. Number 6 is Danny Garcia. That's Crawford's current number 1 ranked contender in the WBO, and I don't understand why he doesn't want to fight him, but he doesn't. I personally think Danny's going to face Errol Spence next after Pacquiao chooses to face Mikey Garcia next. That's how I see things playing out. So definitely I don't see him facing him next. Number 7, Yordenis Ugas. You know, this is an interesting fight. Ugas is the guy that gets avoided that's in the PBC, and Crawford gets avoided overall in the welterweight division. So why not try to make a fight with Ugas? He's got an awkward style. It wouldn't be the best style matchup for Crawford, but Crawford can beat anybody, and I say the guy gave hell and possibly should have beat Sean Porter last year. I think they could sell this fight because Ugas is a top contender and he struggles to get opponents. He's like the boogeyman of the PBC, so I think it is possible. It's an outside shot, but I think possible that Crawford goes after Ugas. Number 8, Mikey Garcia. Now, Mikey said he'd be interested in working with Top Rank if he cannot get the Pacquiao fight next. You know, there is a chance he doesn't get the Pacquiao fight, but unless Pacquiao chooses Danny Garcia, you know, I think Mikey could possibly go after Crawford, but I really think he wants to avoid that. I think Mikey's going to get chosen by Pacquiao to be the next opponent. If he doesn't, and Pacquiao chooses Danny Garcia, then maybe Mikey looks at Crawford. But to be honest, I think Mikey would probably rather face Sean Porter than face Crawford next. But you never know. He could. It is possible, and he did say he would be down to face Crawford because Crawford's a big name and he has a world title. So we'll see. But personally, I don't think so because I think Pacquiao is going to choose to face Mikey Garcia next. Number 9 is Sergey Lipinets. Lipinets is fighting for an interim title next, so no way he's facing Crawford. Then the 3-way tie for 10th. You got Jesse Vargas. Wouldn't completely rule it out. Vargas coming off a tough decision loss to Mikey Garcia. I think there's other things Crawford would rather do, but Vargas is a good, solid option, and, you know, it would be Top Rank working with Matchroom, but I think Vargas would take the shot, and I think Matchroom would be down to make the fight, so I think it's possible. Josecito Lopez, I mean, if he's willing to cross the street, yeah, but I think there's just so many options for PBC fighters, and I don't think PBC and Top Rank get together on this one. And then the last guy tied for 10th is a rematch with Thomas Delorme. Wouldn't be possible even if Delorme didn't have a fight next, but he does. He's facing Jamal James next, so I'm not seeing it. So that's it. You know, there's been a lot of talk, or there's been some rumors about Crawford talking to Jermell Charlo at 154 because these guys just do not like each other. That's one of Errol Spence's friends, is Jermell Charlo. They've trained together and they're really good friends in Texas. So I think, you know, there's been talks of that. You know, and Charlo's in optional mode right now, so he might say fuck it and face Crawford. Crawford would probably be down to move up to 154 for that fight. I'm going to lean towards the less likely on that one, though. Other options from 140, I mean, I just don't see big name options in their next fight moving up. You know, down the road type stuff like Prograis and Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor, but not next. So right now, I would lean towards probably Kell Brook is going to be next for Terence Crawford. After that, it's kind of up in the air. It could be Sean Porter. It could be somebody else. Like I think Yordenis Ugas makes a lot of sense. And there's an outside chance now that Bob Arum said Pacquiao has reached out and you know, talked to him about a fight. I guess there's a chance there, but I really think that's less likely. I think it's probably going to be Kell Brook next. So we'll see, though. All right, guys, that's the what's next on my number 2 welterweight in the world at 147, Terence Crawford. I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.